Hello and welcome out to this episode of Outbreak Gaming. I'm your host, David Anthony. WebDave is my gamer tag. That's what a lot of people call me, so that's cool. And I'm here with Big Cloud Gaming, sir. How are you doing, sir?
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me.
Oh, dude, this is I'm pretty excited to have you on today. So, you've been in podcasting for quite a while. You've done a lot in the industry and a lot with the business, and a lot of writing, a lot of shows, a lot of really good interviews, and hopefully we'll get into most of that today. So, anyway, thanks again for being here. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Appreciate the invite.
Awesome. Okay, so let's I guess kind of start off with I guess what kind of history you've had as far as like work. Like what kind of jobs have you had?
So after high school, I didn't really go to college. I thought about it, but the thing is, it's kind of it's not really wise to go into a field that you're not really mentally prepared for. So
Right.
I figured, right after high school, I just go right to work. So I did a lot of basically I did a lot of your typical jobs, your retail work. I started off as cashier. First ever job was Walmart. Moved up from there to other fields such as unloader, like unloader, stocker, stuff like that. And then when I got tired of being in the whole, I guess, retail life, I moved on to being more of the warehouse type of side of things. And pretty much where I work now is a company called, if I remember correctly, it's called JFC, but I think they're changing the name now. It's new leadership we have going on.
Hmm.
So basically, we basically it's a factory job where they create these it's like plastic. It's like plastic. They create plastic with a big rolls of it, and we take
Hmm.
it out the conveyors and we put it on it and we ship it out, type of thing. That's basically what we do there. And ironically, in terms of like industry wise, that I had recently did. I was working with IGN as a freelancer. Now, ironic, I'm still in the freelance program. I actually thought I was done, but I'm still part of the freelance program. It's just I'm a former client. But I was a video producer for IGN there. I did pretty much the entire, like, if you guys see the San Andreas, GT San Andreas
Mm,
video walkthrough, the definitive edition, all
yeah.
those videos you saw were edited by me and
Nice.
done for me. So all the collectibles, which took a while, all the collectibles, the graffiti tags, the actual missions in general. That's all me playing. That's all me doing all that, and that was like my first actual big job in the actual industry, as opposed to working for a huge outlet for gaming, and that was really really, you know. Uh, it's crazy because I didn't never thought that would happen because
Right.
after so long, but about going on 5 years being in YouTube, pretty much. You know, opportunities come, and I tell people a lot, good things come to those who wait, but it's also good to perfect your craft. It's always good to be open to criticism, and of course,
Right.
always be willing to really try things, learn things. And I owe all that to just me wanting to be a risk taker. Wanting to really step forward and go all this stuff. I remember when I first started doing YouTube, it wasn't even me on camera. It wasn't no crazy avatar moving, shout the graphic card. It wasn't
Right.
these intros that it literally was just my web browser. I had like a microphone similar to this. I have so many microphones now, but I had a microphone similar to that
There you go.
and literally just hitting record on OBS with the damn web page, and I'm just talking over, saying, "Hey, here's the news for today." Some of the cringiest news, but ended up being some of the funniest news to get me in the door.
Right.
And I
Right.
was like, you know what? Yeah, I want to really take this to another level. And I started experimenting with gameplay. People loved it. I was okay. This is definitely I got a voice for it, and
Yeah. Definitely.
we just started going, and then it wasn't until recently, like last year, I decided to step it up and go into really the industry, take a step forward. I'm like, I've been doing this for so long. I know a lot about what's going on. I mean, me, you, boom, we all talk about a lot of stuff in the
Hmm.
industry. And I'm like, I'm surprised nobody really takes the steps forward to either want to learn it more or get closer to an audience for it.
Hmm.
So I was like, let me take a step. Let me just take a chance. Start interviewing people, and we interviewed the right person, and it's like I got a message. Hey, Ryan, we love to have you as part of our influencers, or as part of our program for IGN. I was like, where do I sign? All the paperwork signed, and boom, I was with IGN, and
That's
there you go.
awesome.
So I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
little things. But
That's
yeah,
great,
that's
man.
pretty much where I'm at work wise. I still work at the other job, so that's where I'm at there. Do that on the side. YouTube, I guess you can count as another one on the side too, because YouTube is another grind by itself. But
Oh, yes.
yeah, it took it took a minute though. I had to put YouTube on the side. I put a lot of stuff on hold, but it was cool though because I had a lot of guidance from a lot of individuals in the industry telling me like, sometimes you got to put stuff you love on hold to get where you need to be. And I was like, that's true. It really
Yeah,
is true. So
yeah. Well, I for one, am definitely glad that you kept pursuing it because I think you do a great job and great content. So let's get into, I guess, how you got started in gaming. Like, what was your first gaming experience?
oof, first gaming
Digging way back.
experience. Yeah, going back, I would add to my sister, she had the Atari and everything. She used to have like
Nice.
the OG Pac-Man on it. So she used to destroy me in Pac-Man.
Yeah,
She destroyed me in Pac-Man.
that's funny.
But the first console I actually officially owned, if I remember correctly, was a Sega. And the
Mm,
funny thing about it is, I lived in I'm from like a more poorer part of Philadelphia before we
mhm.
moved to Georgia. But we're all so close in our neighborhood before the neighborhood kind of just went to hell now when I look back at it. But because everybody moved out, you look at other
Right.
things stuff. But when I tell you at the time I was younger, you remember things different when you're younger. You see more of a happier days. I guess because
Mhm.
I lived there, and you
Yeah,
just
yeah.
you have that better memory. But um we were so cool with everybody. I was friends with so many people that I would literally go down the street to my friend Pam's and one night she would have like the Super Nintendo and go
Mm,
hang out with her, play the Super Nintendo. I go over here to Jack's down the street. He had the PS1. I didn't own a PS1 until ironically the PS. Actually, no, I did own the PS1, but the first in terms of the main ones, I think if I remember correctly, I started off with Sega, then I moved to Nintendo. And I was with Nintendo for a minute. Then I got the PS1. And then ironically, from the PS1, I didn't even go to the PS2. Everybody was going to the PS2. That was the
yeah.
trend. I was like, yeah, let me take a chance. I want to go with the Xbox. And I got the OG Xbox. And I got that. I'll never forget it. It was my birthday. My aunt took me to EB Games. I thought we were going to the mall to get her something. We go to EB Games. I'm like,
Nice.
wow, look at this old relic. Now I think about the store. And she's like, hey, what was that console you wanted? I was like, oh, the Xbox. Okay, let's get that. And she was like, what game did you want? I was like, okay. There's so many games on the
Yeah,
shelf.
yeah.
And one game that I really wanted to play, I remember seeing this game. I think it was at E3 at one point. I just remember seeing, I was like, damn, this game looks so good. Or maybe it was a trailer on TV, but it
Mhm.
was Jet Set Radio Future. That game
Oh,
holds
love it.
so much love. I have so much love for that game that I've been dying for a remake of some sort. So every time I see that art style, I'm like, dude, that brings me back to my roots.
Oh,
But
yeah.
we got that, and the rest became history with Xbox. After that, I got House of the Dead. We had the OG light guns. So that kind of defeat the purpose of going to the arcades, wasting money on those little cards, little swipe cards,
Yep,
or
yep,
the
yep.
little or the other machines. And nah, just that Dead to Right, just so many amazing games on the OG Xbox, and great memories playing Dead or Alive 3 with the fellows.
Mhm.
And then it got to the point though, obviously, 'cause, Microsoft was the first console, so they didn't have everything. So you were kind of limited with the OG Xbox. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
they did get San Andreas down the road, but it was a little too late. You know what I mean? It was a little too late. Like it was the trend was already set. So I was like,
Mhm.
let me go home, and I guess this is where I just never left afterwards. I went to PS2. I'm playing Spider-Man Ultimate. I'm playing Spider-Man 2. I'm playing Dragon Ball Z Budokai series. I'm playing all these crazy bangers on this. And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
PlayStation is where I belong. It's just one of those places where I feel home. It
Yeah,
really
oh,
is.
it's
You know,
great console, man.
the the the,
Amazing.
the game that got me into platformers, I still hold it to this day. And a lot of people might go, that's a cheesy game that you might say is one of your all-time favorites, but it was a game that defined me at the time because I was a kid and I was like, that looks so badass. This thing's coming at you and you're running away from it. I think you can already guess what it was. It's on PS1. And that's Crash Bandicoot. Crash
Oh, yeah,
Bandicoot
yeah, yeah, yeah.
was it. And I was like, yep, gaming was just so good.
Mhm.
It was just such a good time. And it still is to an
Yes.
extent. To an extent. It
Yeah.
still is. But that's where I was, man. I was like, yep, I'm home. PlayStation where I belong. I'm having too much fun here. And then everything else just kind of just fell into place. I did eventually go, and try out other consoles still, but I don't know, man. It was just something about PlayStation, the lineup. I just think like that was just, like for example, if you're a racing sim guy and you like, I don't know, Gran Turismo, you might
Mm-hmm.
go to PlayStation for that, or you just like Forza, you might go to Xbox for that. It was just all the characters. They just resonated with me at the
Mm-hmm.
time. And now you look at where Sony is now. You got all this insane, movie quality
Oh
in
yeah.
games. You got video games doing what we wanted as kids to do. They're
Mm-hmm.
rivaling the movies. They're replicating. In fact, doing it better. When I see Spider-Man games of the old, where I used to play when I was young,
Yeah.
and then I see what we're getting now with Spider-Man 2018 and Spider-Man 2 when they're fighting on the side of the buildings. I'm like, dude, this is the stuff I was begging for as a kid,
Mm-hmm.
and I see this, I'm like, what I would give just to have this be pushed forward at that earlier point of my childhood, right? Just to have that kid, the inner kid really blow up even more, and
Oh
then
yeah.
you go even further into it. But I mean, again, that's just what it was, man. So it's awesome to see
Yeah,
gaming.
I'm right there with you, man. The graphic leap. I mean, can you imagine? You were talking about the leap from back then to now, but
Mhm.
just can you imagine what 10 years from now is going to be like? I mean,
Dude, we're pushing 4, not I'm sorry, not 4K. Obviously, we're pushing 4K, but
right?
we're really talking mostly about stuff like VR. Everybody's really
Yeah.
trying to push that. I mean, again, VR started off as just a joke. It's
Mm-hmm.
one of those things that wasn't really. I wouldn't say it was like pushed. It was pushed, right? But it wasn't really like one of those things that felt like it was necessary to a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you saw it in movies like the OG. Can't believe I'm bringing this up. Like the OG, what was it, Freddy movies? Remember that?
Oh
Freddy's
yeah.
Dead. You remember that?
Yep.
The OG Freddy movies. It's like all that stuff. It's like uh, now you look at it, you're like, yeah, this can be something.
Oh yeah.
This can legit be something, and everybody's getting lost in their creativity. Everybody's now getting like I never thought you would see gamers get access to developers tools like
Yeah.
Dreams. Around
Mm-hmm.
Dreams letting you legit power your
Love
dreams,
dreams.
make stuff. So you
Yeah.
see that with the industry. You see in gamers getting more creative. Like just recently, I think obviously it's open to gamers, but it's called the Unreal Engine.
Mm-hmm.
One dude made his own Spider-Man game in
Yeah.
Unreal Engine, and it looked like wow, it looked good. And it's one person, he did everything, all the models, he did everything, the
Mm-hmm.
character, and I'm like, Jesus, like this dude, can somebody give this guy a job?
Yeah.
Said he
Exactly. Hire
looks good.
him.
Yeah, he looks good doing this, and that's the cool thing about it, man. It's a lot. I mean, I just had an interview with my good friend who I give her props all the time. She actually is the reason why I decided to really push interviewing people. She told me this, she's like, you need to do this. I need you to do this. I need you to stop. You need to do this. I'm like, okay, I did it. So we had her on. Her name's Rachel. We were talking about this. She was basically offering information for those who want to become VFX artists. And
Right.
she was telling me about everything. And, I did a whole article on her, and that was a blast for Islandlords. But, it's just, again, there's just so many ways you can get into this industry and have fun and really lose yourself in it.
Mm-hmm.
And, it comes at a price, I guess you can say, right? It just feels like in this community now, it's not the community of old. The community of
Right.
old, I thought was be more open or happy that others are making stuff or moving out here doing things. No, everybody has to go, oh, they got an agenda. Oh, they're doing that because they're doing this. I'm like,
Yeah.
boy, if only you could see what I saw in 1 year, it would
Mm-hmm.
surprise you. And like
Yeah.
it's like they don't think though. That's the funny thing. Like I used to get a lot of weird comments. I don't get them like that no more, but I used to get a lot of weird comments like, how are you okay with Sony putting games on PC? I'm like, well, if you saw what I saw within a year, you would understand why. I even try to give hints. I'm like, guys, it's closer than you think it is. It's closer. And they're like,
Yeah.
oh, there's no way this is gonna happen. Dude's like, oh, there's no way Spider-Man's gonna happen. I'm like, let's just wait. Let's just wait for this one, and then there it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, it makes sense for them to do that. I mean, it's a big market where
yeah,
they can continue to make money. And I mean, let's be honest. I mean, it's not like Spider Man is on the Xbox. I mean, it's on the PC. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's not the same.
yeah,
But it still opens up so much more for them to make more money to make more and better games.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, man, that's exactly the point. Like, the thing about this too, like I hear a lot of people say, I want Sony of old. Like I want Sony in terms of just like who would take more risks with newer IPs and just throw them out. You know, like on the PS3s, and they kept throwing game after game after game at the screen, and like
Mhm.
eventually one would stick, if that makes sense. But a
Yes,
lot of them would kind of just like be faded out and die type of thing. You wouldn't see continuations of or sequels towards, you know what I mean? That model was cool for what it was, but that ended up hurting the company even more because they didn't see return on investments. And this is where
right.
I laugh at a lot of people who say, I want to quote unquote support the developers, or they have this whole mindset, support developers, pay 70 everything. I'm like, okay, well, if you are about quote unquote supporting developers, wouldn't you be all for them going PC? Because this supports the developers all
Yeah,
the
this.
way. I had a conversation not too long ago with Housemark. You know, we had the lead audio technician on there for an interview, and we talked about the game. You know, the game was obviously niche. He knew it was niche. He knew his game was going to have a little bit of a time, you know, on the
Mhm.
on the PS5. But just hearing the passion that went into that game, the effort, what they did, like with them recording, like him recording audio of somebody putting like a helmet on and having water come on, him actually legit being there to record that to make that claustrophobic, you know, type of sound where
Yeah.
like you're going through the water and stuff like that. It's like that type of detail, that type of just, you know, commitment. Who am I to say that doesn't deserve to be compensated and, you know, really get that further push? I want to see that because I want to see that team get a sequel. I want that. I want that more
Yeah.
than anything. I would love a part 2 to a Returnal. I would absolutely love that. That would be fantastic. Returnal 2? Come on.
Yeah. I love that
Spider
game.
Spider-Man 2 is gonna be fantastic coming out of this PC port in the long run because I already know what they're gonna bring after playing 2018. It's
Yeah.
gonna be that fantastic. It's gonna be
Mhm.
great. And it's gonna lead to an even bigger budget. Guess what? For Wolverine. And we already know Wolverine is the one where you're like, that's where I think the gloves officially come off all the way.
Yeah.
Because Spider-Man, you're kind of limited based
Yeah.
on the not necessarily the character, but you're limited on basically the world and the setting, if that makes sense, right? Like,
Yes.
you know, like the rating, I guess you can say it's really the word. Because you know,
Right.
Spider-Man's not really a rated R character. Wolverine,
He's pushed the boundaries.
there is no limit for Wolverine. We're talking about
Right.
Hulk possibly being in this. I'm like,
Ooh, nice.
I'm all for this. I'm all for this game. So
Yeah.
hey, man, that's what I'm all for. Though I want games to get those opportunities. I do want that. I do want that. Like the only thing I would say is kind of a step down the generation is that you don't really see that many risks.
Right.
But at the same time, you go back and you look at the years prior or the generations prior, and you look at just the return on investment. You're like, yeah. But now I think Sony wouldn't have that problem if they were to go back and let's say remake a Heavy Rain for this generation or remake a
Yeah. I love that game.
like remake those OG like the Order 1886. Why not
Mhm.
remake that? Give that another shot of adrenaline. I really think that game to me screamed potential. I
Mhm.
love the world. I love the lore. I thought it was great. The weapons, the creativity. I was like, this is what I want. I like this type of level of storytelling and just you having fun. You know what I mean? You can tell when the developer's having fun, when they're going all out and they're just having all these crazy stuff happen. You're like, yeah, these guys had a blast making this game. And I want a sequel to that. I would love to
Yeah.
see that. Jack and Daxter is another one that doesn't get brought up as much.
Right.
Sly Cooper is another one that doesn't get brought up as much. There's so many games that could definitely be brought back and wow us. And Sony knows
Yes.
this, and that's why, I'm kind of 50-50 on this premium thing. We see the plus subscriptions. The only thing I see positive really coming out of it, especially with the backwards compatible log, whatnot, what they're doing there for the
Mhm.
legacy is data. If that
Yeah.
makes sense. Them looking at the data, what's being played, what clearly has interest, and I'm going, you
Right.
know
That's a
what?
good call.
Maybe let's look into this. Let's get into this sequel. Let's get into this stuff. And
Yeah.
Insomnia Games think they're slick. I be watching Insomnia Games. They know I be on them with this resistance stuff. So I know for a fact they are looking at this too. Like, yeah, when are we gonna drop this resistance? Me, I'm all for waiting. Greatness definitely. I'm all for waiting.
Yeah.
But so many positives that can come out of this whole thing with data.
Oh yeah, well, like that siphon filter
Mm.
game that
Lot of traction. Notice that, right? A
I
lot of
mean,
traction.
yeah, yeah, and I haven't, I have the basic tier
Mm,
um, of the plus, and I noticed that it was in their store, like on the big sale thing, but
mm.
siphon filter was on there and it had free. So like even if you didn't have it, you could. It's one of those games that they put out there as a free game, which is cool because it's a man. I loved playing that game when it came out. I played the hell out of it. Siphon Filter 2. I was on the like the
Yep.
beta test thing.
So you going there?
So oh yeah, but I mean
One.
that was that was but that was so much fun to play it even before it was out. But just to and it was like man, this is great. I love that espionage type thing. So
Yeah.
man, a new one would be amazing.
One game that was on mine, that really just like it got me excited. I was sort of going, damn, I haven't seen this game in so long. I played on the emulators a few times, but it
Mhm.
hits different when you emulate it
Yeah.
versus thing. So I'm watching this, I'm like going, damn. And it kind of just got the wheel turning because you see how well Capcom works with PlayStation. You see them do that amazing state of play they just did with
Yes.
Resident Evil 4 and all the third party and the VR. I'm like, wow, that is great
Hmm.
for 30 minutes. That is awesome. I got so much information I need. We got Callisto Protocol in December. That is my game of the year right there. Aside from Elden Ring, that is the game to look at, to get right there. Resident Evil is another. But when you look at that, they're working relationship with Capcom, and you see Dino Crisis on this service. I'm like, oh yeah, I see what you're doing. You're trying to get that. You're trying to get that metadata for Capcom just to see if they
Hmm.
need that motivation to make this. I mean, listen,
Hmm.
there needs to be like there was a time when we were younger where dinosaurs were feared. They
Hmm.
weren't play toys. They weren't looked at as just like no entertainment like Jurassic Park. No, they were looked at as something to actually be afraid of. I would love to see that come back in full effect with the tools that we have access to now and the
Yeah.
amount of gore. Like you remember how Capcom went all out for Resident Evil 2 remake when they saw the jaw and stuff coming off for some of these
Yes.
like
Yes.
portions? Imagine that with dinosaurs.
Oh yeah.
Can
And
you
the
imagine how much more
Jurassic
gruesome
Park
that
type
could be?
technology. Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine how amazing that would be. You really do that. Or hell, why not just make a full blown? And then I think that would be cool too. They can make a full blown Jurassic Park game rated R. Make it
Mm.
like the novel because the novel is 5 times more darker than what you got in the
Yes,
movies.
it is.
It is
It's
dark.
Michael
It is
Crichton
dark.
writes a good book.
Yeah, it is. It is dark. Like a lot of people think, oh, Nedry got some karma in the movie. Read the book. He got it worse in the movie. He got it worse in the movie. He got it worse in the book. I'll tell you
Yeah.
right now.
Yep.
So
Yep. I agree with
that's
that.
that's what I'm all about, man. I would love to see stuff like that come back.
That's awesome. That would be good. That would be a good call. So let's get into a little bit of a sidetrack here to where like you got started in doing your YouTube and you were talking about that like how you were just kind of doing like the news type thing with your camera. But I mean, but then at some point you really started putting some effort into it, some serious effort into it, to where you have a really a good you got the host of your own podcast now.
Mm.
So let's talk about how that got started.
So the start of the channel, ironically, this is not the PC, right here. It's not the PC that I'm using for it. That
Right.
PC is actually behind me in that door. It's kind of slightly open. That's my closet, but it's in that PC. I bought a pre-built PC. My mom actually helped me with it. She was like,
Nice.
She's like, yeah, I need. Yeah, he's like, I want you to do this YouTube thing. I was like, what you mean you want me to do this YouTube thing? She's like, I want you to do this. 'Cause I think you would do great with something like this. I'm like going,
Nice.
okay. So she helped me fund a little bit of it. I went and got the PC and went and got an Audio Technica. I know, cliche. Pretty much everybody's microphone's Audio Technica at the start. So I get an Audio Technica. I get that. I didn't even have the arm. I don't remember correctly. I think I just had the little regular little standing game one.
Right.
But I had Audio Technica. I'm talking to the mic. I'm nervous as ever. First of all, I'm like legit shaking. It's my first ever official video. So I'm shaking. I'm not
Oh,
on camera. I'm not on
right.
camera. I got the web browser ready to be recorded. So you know what? Let's just go ahead and shoot my shot. Let's go ahead and see it. What's the worst that can happen? What's the worst? I'm just having fun with news. I'm talking some news here. And I
Right.
started giving the news, like giving my thoughts about it. And I just started, kind of just, going with it, getting a little flow with it. I was like, I'm having fun with this. This actually wasn't too bad. Just spoke my mind, gave my thoughts to the news, this and that, third. The first day didn't really get as many views, right? Got like probably 2, 3 views. Did I come back the next day? I came back to like it was like 20 or almost 50. It was okay, not bad. And I noticed that I gained 8 subs. So I was like, not bad for my first video.
Yeah.
YouTube was actually working at the time, but it was okay. So I dropped another one. Started getting a little bit of a rhythm, a little cadence going. How I wanted to do it, how many times I wanted to do it a particular week. And the cool thing about it was I had a lot of time on the hands to do it because I would be home pretty much during the day and I would work at night, so I would be pretty much ready to go, ready to roll at any time I wanted. So usually, sometimes I'll do it at early in the morning, drop the videos,
Hmm.
probably take a quick nap, and I'll wake up so jittery and want to do another video, drop another video, and that's what I would do.
Nice.
And and it ended up being to the point where I was dropping like 7 videos a week. Sometimes I would do that. Sometimes it was be 5, but I was really dropping videos nonstop because I really wanted people to really, get informed. That's why I felt the need for it, inform people and do that. Of course, I got the weird comments here and there. Because everybody has to quote unquote they know more than you apparently when you're just reciting information. So you know I ignored that. Had a few run-ins with some weird YouTubers. I won't name, but it was funny. I got into that. It's on my channel still because a lot of people was like, "Please, you delete that, we're gonna have a problem." I'm like, okay.
That's funny.
So I ended up having a debate with a YouTuber, and should not have happened really, but you know how the internet is. People want to
Yep.
take anything they hear and try to spin and say this guy was this. So I'm like, okay. End up having a debate with the guy, end up being one of the weirdest conversations, interactions I've ever had. And yet I'm having bigger YouTubers watching it going, yo, you handled that great. I'm like, I didn't really think much of it. So it was a funny debate though. Everybody's like, "Oh, you destroyed the guy." I'm like, "Dude, I don't really care about this dude. I just moved on." Dude was like, "Oh, your channel will never amount to anything." He was telling all that stuff, like, "Oh, my channel is bigger than yours. I had 300 people watching, 200 people watching." You watch the dude now in 2022. His
Hmm.
ego destroyed him. He can barely get 50 people watching. So
Ouch.
ego driv, ego is one thing. You don't want to be like that. But also in the long reality, and I guess that was just the symbolic nature of it. My channel eclipsed his a long time ago.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like,
There
there's
you
a lot of
go.
stuff. You never know who's gonna be hot in this industry or who's gonna be big in YouTube. And I think,
Right.
everybody needs to have a little respect for one another. That's why, I have no issues when people ask me on the show. Like, I don't care if your channel is big, small, whatever. If you want to talk gaming, I have no problem talking gaming. Who
Yeah.
am I to deny the future? You know what I mean, of YouTube.
Right.
But the thing is, though, a lot of people put a lot of egos into their platforms, and that's where I think that hurts it. So we
Well,
go
you
from that.
definitely know I'm a small channel, so thank
Uh,
you for being here.
I don't know.
It's true. I
I mean,
appreciate it.
I'm not even a big channel. I'm a small channel. So I don't consider
Uh,
my channel big or nothing. But I know again, I go from that. I go from the news. And I was like, you know what? I know for a fact I can step this up. And I started watching people like Ali A. I started watching all these other YouTubers, PwnStars.com, who was a COD creator. I used to do because originally my channel before I did gaming news was a COD channel. I used to drop clips of Call of Duty videos. So that didn't last long. That didn't last long because I got out of the Call of Duty phase really, really quick. But to go back to this, I just, I was like, how do I step this up? And so I decided to get an Elgato capture device, this
mhm.
old raggedy beat up thing right here. This thing is
Yep.
old, outdated, don't use it. I keep
Have
it on my
one.
desk though as a relic. Aver Media is where it's at, by the way. But
Nice.
moved and got that. Started recording gameplay, putting that over everything. Start talking, and lo and behold, I just started getting a lot of good feedback. I was like, "Yo, that was cool. I like the gameplay like that." Then I finally decided to get an intro. It's like one of those cheap ones you can have made from little third party sites. Got that. It's like a little fire emblem, and it just blew up. I didn't have no vision for my channel. My channel was called Ryan553298. That was the name of my channel at the beginning.
There you go.
And
What
so
does that mean?
exactly. That was actually my PSN. That still is my
Oh,
PSN on PlayStation. So it's like
nice.
that was my PSN. I was like, let me just make it all uniform. I go
Yeah.
back and look back at that name, look at my channel. I'm like, yeah, that's probably one of the weirdest names to have for a YouTube channel. I didn't have a logo. I had like the Robin logo as my logo. I was like,
Right.
let me just do this. Anyway, kept going, kept grinding, getting better, got better intros, better on the mic, build a reputation, and just we kept it going. We really did. We just really kept it going. We just kept moving forward. And what led to podcasting was I had this idea of wanting to do one, but it wasn't really like me being at the helm type of thing. It was kind of
Right.
like I wanted to do like a gathering of gamers every week. So it would be like
Yep.
rotating. It would be like completely different all-star cast. I wanted to give my platform to people to help them get into YouTube and want them, those that want to do YouTube. And I was opening it up at the time. And that ended up being a podcast I stopped doing, and I ended up doing my own and no longer, which became RGT. RGT was the podcast and still is the podcast we do to this day. It's
Right.
a podcast that's went through a lot of, ironically, it's went through a lot of changes. We used to go through crazy heavy news, getting into console war s stuff. Then we moved and really tailed it back to what really at the end of the day is what matters, and that's gaming. And that's what we were having more fun with. We were more calm, more cool about everything. And a lot of people didn't like that I did that, but I was like, listen, I'm not here to suffer every week. I don't want to talk about people I don't care about. I don't want to talk about
Right.
stuff I don't want to care about. I want to talk about stuff I love to talk about. I want to talk about gaming. I want to talk about this industry. A lot of people, well, that's boring. Well, I'm like, well, if gaming's boring, why are you here? That was my attitude at the
Yeah,
time for a
exactly.
lot of
Why are you
people.
here?
Why we here? So we did that with RGT, and then at first I was like, this is the right move for me, for RGT to do this. And then I had one of the coolest interviews, and I did, a part of me was like still in shock by it because the dude was so cool, and he blew me away that he was a fan of mine. He watched my channel even throughout the craziness. He watched me, and this is a former Sony executive. He is the
Wow.
he was the head of the second party uh global relations at Sony, and that's
Hmm.
Gio Corsi. I don't know if you know who that is, but Gio Corsi,
But that's cool.
he was the guy of in charge of the PS Vita and everything over there for
Oh,
Sony.
love
So
the Vita.
when I shouted him out, I was like, "Yo, guys, Gio Corsi, the legend. He's retiring. He's not like with PlayStation." He tweeted me out. He was sitting there going, "Yo, I appreciate the love, brother. Keep up the awesome videos." I was like,
That's
and
awesome.
I was like, "Hey, Gio, I'd love to have a talk with you." He's like, "Hell yeah, man, let's talk." And I was still in shock. Like, wait, okay, he wants to come on the show. We set him up on Discord. We talked, and he gave me some of the best advice I can ever ask for in terms of just wanting to really go for it. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
he basically told me it's all out here. All you gotta do is just grab it. Go and chase it. And he also told me too. Yeah, and this is something I also remember too. He's like, you gotta think about how you want to be remembered at the end of the day when you depart this earth. And I was like, I didn't think much about that. I was like, do I want to be, how do I want to be remembered? And I was like, damn, that's a good question. He's like, yeah. He's like, do you want to be remembered as someone who has a channel who's just loud? Or do you want to be remembered as someone who built something from nothing that you're proud of and people want to be a part of?
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, that's a good point. So we started, talking about that, have fun. And after that was done, I was like, yeah, I get my mind made up. I want to do this. And that's pretty much it. The rest is history. I was like, I'm gonna be dedicated
Yeah.
news. I'm gonna be dedicated to this. When we watch these shows, I'm gonna do this. That's it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I guess you've done a lot of interviews,
Oh yeah.
and so and not necessarily all just gaming. You've done some, I guess, with wrestling interviews. Is that correct?
We've had one. We
Okay.
had Mickey James
Yes.
on the show. I do have others that I was trying to get on the show I had planned, but ironically, they just they were telling me they wanted to come through. Like I had a whole bunch, and they just signed their deals with AEW. So for
Oh yeah.
example, Athena, aka Amber Moon, is with AEW. So can't get her right now. She's very very busy, but she was really really cool. Mia Yim, who is the wife of Keith Lee, she's with Impact Wrestling. I mean, there's a lot of people.
Hmm.
We had I've had I still can get in touch with, but we had for the show, and no, I'm very proud of it. It's really cool. Like again, I went from like what the way I look at it is like a lot of people go, oh, and this is where I kind of try to tell people don't get discouraged if somebody says no or yes or whatnot,
Right.
because you gotta look at it like this. If you send a email, like for example, Dave, you sent me an email. Let's say I had like 14, I don't know, million subs. I didn't even bother to give you the common courtesy to reply back. You know what I mean? That's what
Yep.
you probably should go, yeah, whatever. But if I gave you a reply back, that right there should take it, you know what I mean? Take into consideration that maybe I considered it, and a lot of people
Yes.
look at that as an L. They're like, oh, I didn't get a message. I'm like, did he respond back? Yeah. Then you didn't take an L. They watch the program, they see what you got. They probably don't have time. Look at that type of stuff.
Right.
I had one of the most surreal conversations not too long ago. Me and him both, not just me. We were bummed we couldn't do it live for everybody because I wanted to make it a big public event for everybody in the community. I was so eager for it. He was so hyped to do it too. I had Jack Trenton already set, primed. He was ready to go for the interview. We were excited, and we
Hmm.
were talking about his career, everything. He just really wanted to do it for the show, and he still does to this very very day. And we just need to get approval. And we got turned down by someone in over there, and not to say that I'm not gonna say his name, but let's just say he got turned down, and that was one of the you would think stuff like that would destroy somebody like me or hurt both of us. Me and him
Right.
both walked away. We was like, hey, another time. That's basically what we said. And he gave me his personal contact. I'm like, dude, that right there was just a win-win all
Wow.
the way. I was like,
That's awesome.
I'm like, I have Jack Trenton's personal contact. I was just talking to Jack
That's
Trenton
awesome.
about gaming, and we'll definitely set that up when we can. But trust me, it's just there's so many things you can do, there's so many awesome avenues you can go, and have fun with this, and just be really really just be creative. You know what I mean? Like IGN just honored me and a few other content creators not too long ago. It was like last week, I think. We were in the IGN playlist creators, and we're actually
Mm.
on the official site, so they have our channels, everything. And basically
Wow. That's nice.
yeah, basically we were making playlists for the community. So me, David Jaffe, a few others, we made our own little playlists and whatnot. You guys can check out. Me being PlayStation, I was like, okay, these are games that are definitely greatness on PlayStation. You guys check out. And then I made another one like games to look out for. So Starfield, stuff like that was on there. And
Nice.
nah, that what was awesome about it is that everybody loved it. Even the chief operating officer, he was like, dude, that was an awesome playlist. And then he follows me on Twitter, and then I think I told you or everybody saw, but IGN followed me. I was like, yep, this is just awesome.
Yeah, it is.
So awesome. So that was that.
That's great, man. That's great. We're definitely going to have all your links to your channel and to your program, to your Twitter feed, and all that kind of stuff too, so people can check that out. They'll be in the show notes below, and maybe we can get the link to your list and put it in there well, so people can click right through to it and check it out. Maybe
Oh yeah, here you go.
that'd be awesome.
Let me see. Not sure if I think she said it is, but we're gonna see. It's not. I just didn't know this one. So
Making you work too hard on it.
oh no. So pretty much everybody like they're making a separate site for us as well. For the curators. So it's
Sweet.
another, yeah, so it's another cool thing they're doing. So that one I probably can't send, but
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
I can send you this one. This is the one that's officially done. So
Cool.
there you go.
Thanks, dude. I'll make sure we get that in there.
And here's the link. All right, there you
All right, thank you.
go.
So you've been doing your podcast for a while, and then of course you did, like you said, some freelance writing, and then you're working with the Iron Lords podcast. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm officially a writer for LordsOfGaming.net. I just did my first article on there. I have a lot more I got to do, but I did my first one, my first ever written interview for Rachel. From
Nice.
She's basically a VFX artist. She was with Sony Santa Monica recently, and she's now with Activision Blizzard. But she also worked with Playful, and she worked with Gearbox. So she's had a very, very cool career. She celebrated
Wow.
5th anniversary, and she hit me up. She's like, "Yo, I really want to talk about this. I think this would be great." I'm like, "Listen, what you just said is brilliant. I want to write this up. I want to make this on Lords of the Game Night. She came in super prepared. She had like a script, and I'm like, oh, don't worry, I got this. And she sat back, and we just had a blast. So it was awesome.
That's great, man. That is great. Well, that's I mean, that's like you said, the first of many, right? Because I have a feeling you're gonna be there for quite a while. That's a great podcast in its own, a great organization. So that's awesome, man. I wish you all the best over there. That's very sweet.
I
So
appreciate
let's
it.
oh, no worries. Let's kind of get into your thoughts on I guess the current gaming situation, like like how gaming is today. Like what are your thoughts on that?
It depends on how you look at it. A lot of people have different takes on, I guess, how it is. Mostly because a lot of people don't want they don't want to let go of the past. That makes sense. They want
Right.
things to be the same. And again, I'm all for it to a certain extent. If it's limiting the developers in terms of like, expressing their creativity and really giving us what we want, and that's quality games. I'm all for it then going forward and doing what it needs to be done at this point. Like, the last thing I want is for Sony to drop these crazy games like the Uncharted, it's like the Spider-Man, and we have a generation like the PS3 where you have dudes on PlayStation who are prioritized with counting them on their fingers and using that on Twitter than buying them. You know what I mean? That was always
Right.
my issue with the generation. And I've voiced that in videos, and I always have the weird excuses. Well, it's the PS5 has an install base of 5 million. It's not fair. Nintendo it would like to have a word with you. If Nintendo sells 5 million consoles, they're guaranteed 5 million sales in their games.
Pretty
That's
much, yeah.
it's that simple. It's really
Yep.
that simple. And dudes want to go, oh, that's weird. That's not fair. It's like it is fair, and it's absolutely justify what I'm saying. If you want to hype up PlayStation games or an Xbox game, but I'm gonna start with PlayStation first. If we're gonna hype up
Mhm.
PlayStation games and put them on a pedestal, then guess what? We expect you to what? Buy them, support the developer. When people make a fuss about paying $70 for games, and you have dudes who damage control saying, "Oh, you just are broke" or whatnot, right? They insult your wallet like you're broke, you can't afford it. It's not
Yeah,
about now
that's
us
silly.
not being able to afford it. It's about what are we paying for? You know.
Right.
Notice how the most of the main games that we've been hyping up this generation are remakes.
Yep.
You never noticed that? Like the remakes,
Mhm.
like Resident Evil 2, one of the best Resident Evil games, period, is a remake of 2 with Resident Evil 4 inspired controls. But fantastic. I would not change it for the world. It
No,
looks
you're
amazing.
right. You
It
are
was
so right.
amazing. It was amazing. Resident Evil 4 is getting a full blown remake with the same engine that powered Resident Evil 2. Dead
Yeah.
Space is getting a remake. Now, I'm all for spiritual successors. I'm all for the new generation of those games. That's why
Right.
I'm super hyped for Callisto Protocol.
Oh, yeah, looks
Callisto
good.
Protocol is the type of stuff that made me love this industry even more because you saw risk. You know what I mean? These guys don't care if you're afraid. And you know what? That's how horror games should be. Horror games are meant to make you uneasy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
When you
yes.
see when you see that, you're like, this is what I'm talking about. When his arm get caught in the grinder and he gets pulled in, you see the terror in his face and he gets pulled in. That is what I'm talking about. I want that more so in the generate in this in this uh in this industry than
Yeah.
anything. And again, it is no shame, it's no knock on games or nothing like that. When I say I just want new, I want new. Sequels are fine, especially if they're new. Nothing wrong with a sequel if it's a new franchise, nothing new. But if we're on like the 17th installment, you kind of tend to get a little bored with this unless you're just a diehard and it's got something completely different. I don't know.
Right.
But you tend to get a little burnt out.
That's a
Uncharted's
good
kind
word.
of
Yep.
going through, yeah. Uncharted's kind of going through that little bit of a period. Now, Naughty Dog does the right thing by not oversaturating Uncharted in terms of every year releases. If that makes sense, they really spread
Yes.
these out. Last of Us, however, it's kind of been in that conversation now too, though. We now just got a remake of a remaster that we got last generation from a
Yep.
game. So it looked good. It looked amazing. But I'm like, we're paying $70 for a game that has less content and
Agreed.
it looks good, but I mean that's what we're paying for right now. So, you know, as far as like services stuff like that, because that's another thing that kind of goes with the generation.
Mhm.
I was definitely opposed to it at first, but then you look at the benefits of having it, and then you see some drawbacks. We do see drawbacks, like
Mhm.
for example, even though I don't want to completely blame this on the Bethesda showcase. I don't know if you enjoyed the Bethesda showcase, but the Xbox Bethesda showcase, but when I see that show, I'm like, that could have been so much better if there was something called quality control at Mind here. You know what I mean? Where
Right.
they prioritize not necessarily how these games looked, but what exactly are we being presented? You know what I mean? First, before you start doing this, and you really look at the show. This is in the show notes. You're saying what you guys got from your first party in the next 12 months.
Right.
Why don't you have updates on Perfect Dark? Why don't you have updates on Avowed or Heavy or Hellblade? Hellblade 2 we just saw. So Hellblade 2 can't possibly be that far away now, can it? You know what I
Right.
mean? Like where are the updates? But we got plenty of time for Forza. Like
Yeah.
how many times we gonna see Forza, and then Flight Simulator gets Halo content. I'm like, Flight Sim gets Halo content, but Halo Infinite doesn't get no content like the co-op campaign.
Yep.
Right. So there's some stuff.
It'll be
There's some
testing
gaps.
soon, but
Yeah, there's some gaps, man.
yep, agreed.
That needs to be fixed. They need to be filled, and hopefully we get there. But
But today we're not. You're right.
yeah,
Definitely, it's definitely not there now.
yeah,
So
we have a lot of work to do. That's for sure. And hopefully they get it. I mean, they got all these studios. You got the talent. The talent's not the issue. It's just now
yeah,
the direction. You just have to direct them. You have to guide them to
yeah.
get to where they need to. You need to guide them to the finish line. That's just it.
Hmm.
And one thing I applaud about Sony, Sony's very quiet, but they always occasionally do those little, tweets where they go to the crazy headquarters. You see them go and meet up with Neo and all these studios. I'm like, where's Microsoft doing that?
Hmm.
They're very open with the community. I give Microsoft all the credit in the world for their community support and how they react to the community. But
Hmm.
sometimes I feel like being a little too talkative to the community can kind of hurt it, especially
Right.
to show results. You know what I mean? At that point, you got to show results. When you're hearing all the rumors of stuff like Perfect Dark being in developmental hell, you hear Indiana Jones is supposed to be here and it's not there. That stuff just paints a bad narrative. You know what I mean? So it's like a
Hmm.
slippery slope. You have to be very, very not only open, but you got to be cautious with
Right.
what you're doing with this type of stuff. And that's just where I'm at with Microsoft. I mean, there's so many things I could say, but it'll be like a rinse of everything you've pretty much probably heard this entire week. And but it is truth though. There's a lot of truth in a lot of these statements that you see.
Sure. Sure.
If you watch a lot of the Xbox, viewers, if you see them go from like you see them all go from super excited to downright disappointed, that right there is
Hmm.
not a good look. And this is a
Hmm.
show that the bar wasn't set really hard, really high, and that's another thing too. So
Right.
what does that say about shows when the bar is set high?
Yeah. It seemed like it was. I mean, it was kind of lowered because of the two big game delays
Yep.
till next year. So you're already kind of like, okay, we're down here,
Mm-hmm.
and what do you got for us? And I guess there's two ways to look at it. I see their 12-month plan. They're kind of this is what we got for the next 12 months. I don't think they're going to do that always. I think
Yeah.
maybe at the awards show there'll be some different things,
Yeah.
but who knows? Who knows? And I mean, there's I mean, a lot of people. I mean, there's like the rumors. I guess we're hearing that there's a new possible controller coming out for PlayStation,
Yeah, so kind of pro controller. So
which is exciting.
yeah, even though that's the thing about being a YouTuber. Hold on.
Uh,
That's the thing.
you got your prototype right there. No, I'm just kidding.
I kind of do, kind of.
Oh, well, there you go.
So thing about, and as I try to tell people, you don't gotta be following trends. You gotta do other stuff. These guys reached out to me not too long ago. They sponsored the channel.
Nice. Oh, wow. Look at that. Dude, that looks
So
awesome.
battles on the back,
Oh, that's so sweet.
and it's got the grip on. You see that texture fitting on the back.
Yeah, yeah, I see that.
Analog sticks. Yes, they come off.
That's crazy. That is
so,
so cool.
so I tell people, man, you ain't gotta act a certain way to get anything. You don't just put out a product that's good. Have fun with it. Be yourself. Be
Hmm.
creative, and you'd be surprised what happens and who would reach out to you. These guys reached out to me randomly in a live stream when I was watching somebody else unbox one of their controllers, and it was like, "Yo, dude, love for you to try our stuff." I'm like, "Hey,
That's nice.
send it, man." They send me the code. They said customize it however the hell you want. I'm like, "Really?"
That's really cool.
Now I kind of wish I would have got it earlier because now they got see through translucent fit.
Yeah, yeah,
But again, it was a cool gesture. It's one of those things I
of
look
course.
at and I'm like, damn, that is so awesome that they did that and they put me on their list and all that stuff. Some we sold a few of those too, and I was very proud of it. And
Very
Gaming
good.
Cobra, I reached out later on. They hooked out my PS5. I was able to make it custom. I have LEDs in it now,
Wow, cool.
with clear side plates on the side. So that was another thing. I was just able to do a lot of stuff, but you'd be surprised, man. Just being, yourself will
Yeah.
get you.
And you have, I mean, you've had, I mean, you were talking earlier because I mean, you have a established audience. You have, I mean, you also guest on a lot of shows as well. Some of boom shows, of course, the Iron Lords. You've been on a lot of prominent podcast as it were. So I mean, I know, and I hope I can say this. You're like maybe you can't, but no, but I know like you've been sent like some actual like nice gear that you've been testing out, and they said, hey, this is a we want you to try this out and stuff. I mean, so that's pretty awesome to be
Yep.
able to to
You're referring to this. He's referring to this, people.
uh, yeah,
he's
yeah.
he's referring to that, which is a little mini studio. So that's what that is.
But I mean,
this
that's great that they like they value your opinion to
yeah,
send it to you to get you to test it out because they know you're going to put it through its paces, and that's awesome.
yeah, if only Road hit me up. I was like, Road, because I would take that, the Road one and this and this would
Yeah,
be
I'm with
good
you.
for taking on the show, like when we go to E3 or these events and record some stuff, some dialogue. That'd be cool for it. But again, it's all about that's what I love about this, and how
Hmm.
serious you can kind of get into this real quick if you really have fun with it. Like I love talking with people. I just really do.
Yeah.
I love hearing the different opinions about it. That's why
Hmm.
you don't really see me in a lot of crazy. I mean, granted, I'd be in PlayStation podcasts at times, but it feels like I'm rarely there because most of the times it's mostly the same conversation. It's like,
Right.
Game Pass bad, PlayStation good. And when we talk about PlayStation being bad, oh, you're an Xbox. I'm like, yeah, this conversation's not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere with this conversation. And then,
Right.
all
Right.
that.
Well,
So
I appreciate what you bring to the table. I think you have because I mean, yes, your passion is more PlayStation, and that's good. There's nothing wrong with that. I own a PlayStation 5. I own an Xbox. I own a Switch. I have a Steam Deck. So nice computer. So I'm with you. To me, I like the game. Am I good at it? Not really, but I enjoy it, and that's So that's where I'm coming at it from. I was an enjoyable gamer, and I like people's opinions, and that's one of the reasons why you're on here is because I started the show to interview influencers, people that are in the community that have a
mhm.
voice, and there may be somebody that watches this that doesn't know about some of the stuff that you do, and hopefully they'll get to your channel from this, and that's kind of the goal, to kind of just help everybody out, and and hopefully get to know more things about you that somebody may not have known.
Oh yeah,
So
for sure, for sure. We'll definitely get you on RGT one of these weeks. I'll return the favor. It's always cool.
well, cool. Don't know how good I'd be, but I'll do my best.
Well, if you love gaming,
I
that's the
do.
number one. You love gaming, okay, and then you will love the chime. Well, I told Kate Yeager this because we had Kate Yeager. I don't even know what that is. You know what Kate Yeager is?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
She's a host of Inside Xbox. One of the hosts.
Yes.
She was the host
Yes.
of one of
Yes.
those.
Yes. Yeah. Now
She
you're talking about.
Yeah, well, she kind of doesn't host that. She hosts like other Xbox events, but she's the one. She's a full time freelancer for Microsoft, basically.
Hmm.
Um, so we had her on the show. It was a joke. It was hilarious. But you know, when she said she wanted to come on, we basically interviewed her, had like a one-on-one conversation. Then we had her on a normal show. We were just talking about the industry,
Mm.
news in the industry. When I tell you we love her like that, like it was funny. But the first time we had her on, we joked. We was like, Kate, welcome to the show. We gotta, we gotta, we know you like Xbox, so we start doing this. We gotta watch you. We gotta watch you. And she was like, "Oh," she's
So
like, "Oh yeah, there's a lot
funny.
of tension there." I was like, "Oh yeah, a lot of tension." She's like, "Yeah, let's just stop this right here." She was so good. It's like she just took control of the show. She just
That's
hilarious.
awesome.
So
That's awesome. That's cool, man. That's cool. Well, Big Cloud, dude, thank you so much for being on here. I really appreciate it. If you don't mind, I guess tell everybody where they can reach you at as soon as I shut my phone off. Sorry about
I know you're fine.
that. But yeah, let the people know where they can reach you. Plus, all your information will be in the show notes as well.
Oh yeah, man. It was a pleasure. Thanks for having me. It's Big Cloud Gaming, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. You guys can find me obviously there. You can find me at IGN. They're freelancers making the playlists and whatnot. You'll also find me Iron Lords, lordsofgaming.net. My
Hmm.
official everything will be there, and you can see my interviews officially written up by me and whatnot. And God, I'm trying to figure out what else you can find me. Obviously, RGT podcast, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Other podcasts you might see me on is Midweek Mix Up. You might see me on Breakfast with Boom when I can make
Hmm.
it.
Nice.
And Solidcast Wednesdays. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Dave, appreciate the invite. It was fun. And I know you were giddy trying to get me on this for a while. So,
I have been. I have
yeah.
been. I really appreciate you doing this. Like I
Yeah.
said, man, I have a list of people that I wrote down, like people I got to have on, and you were on the list, so I really appreciate you doing this, man.
Yeah, this
Big
was set
Cloud.
up months in advance, so everybody's listening to this.
Exactly, exactly. It took us
and,
a
that-
while
and
to
then,
work it out, but you know what? And I appreciate that your patience with me, and and then of course I almost screwed it up today.
oh no, you were
When
good. You
I
were
looked,
good.
I was thinking, we gonna start this, and I'm like, oh crap, he's already ready. And I was thinking I had another hour because I'm an
No,
idiot.
no, you're
But,
fine, dude. It happens. Like that's the thing about being content creators. You just gotta be on top of it. I mean, you gotta look at certain stuff, and you live and you learn.
Yeah,
You learn these times like the back of your head. Eventually, it starts off weird, but then you learn it very, very quick. Heard
yeah.
this, and then I always tell people, I'm like, yeah, I'm on Eastern, but they're like, oh, okay, so what is that at my time? I'm like, okay, let me look that up, and I gotta reassure them. So that's all. But
So I definitely made a mistake. But anyway, thank you for your patience. I appreciate that. Big
no
Cloud,
problem.
thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. You guys can catch us more episodes at outbreakpodcast.com or on this YouTube channel. Got over 20 interviews now, so and more to come, and then even got a few we'll say industry um insiders that are possibly going to be coming on. I won't say any names because I don't want to jinx it, but that was a really a lot of back and forth before you get those kind of things worked out.
No, yeah.
And it's like, God, I signed my first NDA. This is crazy. So there we go. Good times.
Yeah, those ain't fun.
No, not. Thank you very much. And thanks everybody for being here at Outbreak Gamers.